Saints Row 2022 has become the reboot nobody wanted. Fans of the Saints Row series were hoping for a return to form. What they got was Saints Woke, the introduction of millennial culture.
You look like you could use a mimosa.
Thanks, Eli.
Millennial problems.
Are we gonna make rent?
We'll make rent. We just gotta be a little more creative.
And millennial attitudes. Before the game was released, Chief Creative Officer Jim Boone said in an interview that it's broadly a contemporary millennial power fantasy, but it felt more like the game was targeting Gen Z or Alpha. It didn't feel like it was meant for the age group that grew up playing Saints Row 1 and 2. While it was packed with constant cussing to the point where it was distracting and weird, it never felt adult.
Fall in line, my big sweaty damn mother.
Okay.
Is there a way for me to zoom in a little bit with the drive?
And
What? Okay, what is it?
and vinegar in a goddamn cocktail shaker, sweat, spit, snot, scum, blood, and bile all on the rocks with a twist of lime.
What? Okay.
Fall in line.
This was their chance to erase Saints Row 3 and 4 from history and make a comeback. But don't call it a comeback. This game is a dying breath of a once great franchise that only grew more and more mediocre through time. Written by the dorkiest interns at Volition, Saints Row 2022 crosses the line and just kind of becomes embarrassing to watch.
Hey, we had a big win today. We should do something irresponsible to celebrate.
What do you have in mind?
Oh, I don't know, the money fight!
Whoa. Slow down.
He'd almost kill Kev.
I was in the moment!
I feel sorry for the actors who were given these lines and now have this on their resume. The acting isn't the problem here, it's the writing.
Who messes with the Saints?
No one!
I said, who messes with the Saints?
No one!
You're goddamn right, no one. Life is hard enough without having to deal with middle managers with no discernible talent telling you how to do your job. Without having to deal with who have had every opportunity handed to them, but never had to fucking work for a single one of them. Without being told that your time will come, you just have to wait. Be patient. Well, let me tell you something. We're done waiting. We all did the work. Now it's time for us to reap the benefits. Kev, I think it's time you throw us a hell of a party.
These hipster outfits look ridiculous too. Eli looks like he's interning at Volition Studios himself.
As an investor, I don't like wasting money.
You're wearing a bow tie.
It feels like I'm not building a serious criminal empire. This isn't a gang. This is a safe space. I'm working a startup venture in Silicon Valley with sock-wearing desk jockeys and bow ties. My office puts diversity, employees' feelings, and company morale at the forefront.
Brunch is a time for friends and mimosas, not debates on morality.
All right. Okay, so we got the name, we got the home base, we got the logo.
So that means next step is to find people that can shoot guns?
No. We want this thing to be more than a street gang. We want to be an organization, an institution. And that means we need to have our fingers in more pies.
So, shall we plan the heist?
No.
I thought you called me here because you wanted to prepare for the robbery.
Correct.
So we are planning the heist.
No.
Okay, I must admit, I'm confused. What are we doing?
Team building.
What?
Look, you don't know us, we don't know you, but we're putting our lives in each other's hands, so we need to be on the same page. Eli threw out the idea that we should spend a day doing some team building exercises. You know, so we can really get a sense of camaraderie.
We have hats.
I thought we agreed to use the fleur.
This is better.
I'm with Nina.
We're not friends.
We could be.
Holy shit, we are so good at this.
You know how to start a business. Kev knows how to get attention, and Nina? Nina's the best driver in the business. You fucking rock. And that, my friend, is what team building is all about.
You know what gives a boost to my company morale? Javy Coffee. This portion of the video is sponsored by Javy Coffee. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what's in these beakers. So why am I expected to suddenly become a scientist every time I need a caffeine boost? With Javy Coffee, I can skip the overly complicated coffee bean milking process and jump straight to the good part. One bottle of Javy Coffee makes 30 cups of coffee. You just mix the concentrate into water or milk and add your creamer. It also comes in multiple flavors like original, caramel, French vanilla, and mocha. I don't have to go out and spend $4 for a cup of coffee anymore. I just make a trip to the fridge, which is a lot faster and almost as fuel efficient. Javy Coffee is sugar-free, dairy-free, and non-GMO. If you love coffee, go to buy.javycoffee.com/darkspace, linked in the description, and you can get 25% off your order using my code DARKSPACE. The biggest problem with this game is the gameplay. Pretty much everything this game has to offer is fully experienced within the first hour. After that, it just gets repetitive. Most missions will have you go somewhere and then shoot something. Then you'll potentially go into a railroad segment where you're on the roof of the car and you shoot enemies with infinite ammunition. The problem with this is it's not fun. This game is not like Doom, Destiny, or GTA. The gunplay is awful. It's monotonous, repetitive, and boring. This entire game is just one big awful shootout, with weapons that suck. They aren't fun. Combat in a game like Batman or Spider-Man is actually enjoyable. You look forward to the fights, and you practice different combinations, tricks, and abilities. In this game, you dread the moment enemies will inevitably come pouring in from their off-camera spawns. They're bullet sponges in a game where it's not fun to shoot and ammo can be scarce. They even force you at times to try other aspects of combat like fist fighting. There's a mission where you go into a bar and you fist fight everyone inside. It's one of the most uninspired, boring segments in the game. You just smash the punch and kick button until the fight ends. And for me, what made this worse is when I completed the bar fight, the game glitched and wouldn't let me answer the phone outside, meaning I had to redo the bar fight, subjecting myself to the experience a second time. The weapon wheel is poorly designed because it doesn't slow down time like it does in GTA or pause like it does in Hitman. This forces you to pick your weapon fast while you're getting attacked. There is no cover system, and crouching is barely even useful. It's 2022, and this game that almost entirely focuses on gunplay has no cover system. Imagine if Max Payne played like this crap. So since you can't take cover behind corners or walls, you'll try to peek around them to shoot, but the bullet origin for the player isn't properly mapped, causing you to shoot the wall when you think you're aiming around it. Not to mention, many objects have confusing hitboxes that you can't shoot through when you really should be able to. The recoil on some of these guns are obnoxious as well. The screen shakes all over the place, even if you turn off screen shake. I also felt like the heavy weapons barely dealt any damage on foot. A rocket launcher was rare to come by, and when you'd use it, it would barely scratch the enemy's health bar. So if you're looking for good gunplay, Max Payne 3 did it better. If you're looking for good combat, Spider-Man did it better. If you're looking to build an actual gang, Saints Row 2 did it better. The physics in this game are basically non-existent. I'm not even sure if gravity is a thing in this world. The game feels very archaic, like you're just operating a base character in an indie-based game engine, teleporting to different animations and locations. When you jump, or really when you try to interact in any way at all with the world, it looks odd, very unnatural. I don't think I should be seeing this. It's not smooth. It's not well done. It's amateur. For example, when you jump out of your car, you just land, like there was no momentum. Physics don't actually act upon you until you magically go into ragdoll mode. Also, look at the difference in physics and animations between a feature they copied from Just Cause. Look how unnatural Saints Row is, yet how fluid and authentic Just Cause looks. This is how everything feels, even walking. Nearly any other competitor on the AAA market, even from years ago, will outdo what you're seeing from this brand new game in 2022. The driving controls and handling are disappointing. Again, it looks as if you're not actually controlling a vehicle that has a real physical presence, but instead, you're operating a car model that's pretending to move like a car. Sideswiping, crashing, turning, pretty much anything in a car is awful. Stunt jumps don't offer any thrill, they're awkward air segments where you spin in circles like a Neanderthal. Why can't most games get driving done right? Once you lower your expectations, accept the situation you're in, and come to terms with the hand you've been dealt, the driving physics aren't the worst thing. Drifting can be fun, no matter how stupid it can look, and you can have fun driving around in some vehicles. Some vehicles are just undrivable and clunky. One of the side venture missions has you drive these awful vans across the map while infinite enemies try to kill you. The van is unbelievably slow, takes forever to get moving, and if you stop applying gas, it stops as if you've applied the brakes. It doesn't even coast. Helicopters are dumbed down. You basically raise to a height and then you move along that height level in the direction you want. Very clunky, very not cool. There's one plane as well, but it doesn't behave like a plane should or would. You just move in the direction you point immediately without any resistance or physics. The car damage is basic. I tried to bend the cars in by crashing them repeatedly, but it doesn't really do anything. No matter how many times you hit it, nothing really changes. Vehicles you're not driving, however, explode extremely easily. Like, you can shoot them with a pistol 3 times and they explode. They obviously weren't going for realism with any of these features. They were going for spectacle. I was surprised to see they actually made the doors real objects. Even with that though, they're still really weird. They don't pop off when you back into stuff. Bigger vehicles like the tank can flatten vehicles, which is neat. You can also fly through the windshield much like you could in GTA 4. But if you want high-octane stunts on cars or fun wingsuit gameplay, Just Cause did it better. If you want good driving, GTA San Andreas did it better. If you want good physics, GTA 4 and Red Dead 2 do it better. I think the game looks extraordinary at times and awful at others. I'm honestly surprised that Volition was able to get such professional looking graphics. The faces, textures, and lighting all meet the mark that you'd want from a AAA game. Volition's last game, Agents of Mayhem, was released in 2017 and it had a Crackdown look to it. They obviously like the cartoonish look because Saints Row 2022 is basically Fortnite. One downside is the reflections. They look really bad in store windows. I don't understand why we don't have ray tracing like in every AAA game these days. The game definitely has its fair share of bugs, but they weren't the end of the world or anything. At most, I'd have to redo a mission, which is bad, but not Cyberpunk level bad.
This game is full of glitches, so much so that it makes Cyberpunk look like it was polished on release.
From my experience, it wasn't anything like Cyberpunk. The weapon wheel was a bit glitchy, getting stuck from time to time, and I also had this weird bug where my gun wouldn't reload. It would just fake reload over and over again. And the worst issue I had was trying to get my controller to work. For some reason, this game doesn't speak the same language as my Xbox or DualSense controllers, so I ended up just playing it on keyboard and mouse. So there definitely were bugs, but nothing that straight up 100% completely ruined the game for me, or even compared to Cyberpunk. It just frustrated me occasionally. The game world does not feel real. The AI is awful. They're extremely dumb. When driving, they will go out of their way to dive into your path, killing themselves. The humans don't try to act human. Random sandstorms will occur in the game world and they look kind of bad, but I do think it's a creative choice and I appreciate the fact that they put it in there and they tried. The map is decently sized and it's nice to see a new map from Volition after they took the lazy route and just copied Saints Row 3's map for Saints Row 4. A few buildings in the city have elevators that you can take to the top, which is a nice feature that I wish more games like these had. The game lets you buy plots of land in the world for business ventures. Each type of business offers a set of mini-games, which are fun, like the insurance fraud game type. Opportunities like this make the world feel more alive, and as if you're actually integrating your gang into the world. You can collect items throughout the world by taking pictures of things, and then you can place these items in your Saints headquarters. Your main base upgrades over time, starting out as a condemned lot and transforming into a high-class mansion. While the world may feel lifeless when you're not actively engaging in the story or minigames, it makes up for this awkwardness when you're actually playing the missions. Not many games can nail a realistic game world. Red Dead 2 is the magnum opus of realistic worlds in gaming because the characters occupying the world act human. The map is lore-heavy, and free roaming feels just as immersive as the missions. So if you want realistic worlds, Red Dead 2 did it better. The missions are pretty repetitive. They didn't really utilize the vehicles in the game. They almost entirely focused on the guns. There's a few missions where you're on a track and it's infinite, and you just work your way up shooting the enemies. It's the same formula, just reskinned. I liked it when the game would try new things like sneaking into the prison, although I didn't really like the way that the stealth worked. The escape on that mission was pretty cool too. I wanted more stuff like that in the game. The game starts you out in an uninspired mission where you shoot your way through a town in the desert. Then you jump on a jet. The jet gets stuck, you shoot more stuff in a boring segment, then suddenly the jet is magically unstuck because it's convenient for the cutscene, I guess, and Volition forgot the jet was stationary because it was tethered to the rock, and then you crash and the mission ends, releasing you from its god-awful grasp, giving you the opportunity to end it all now and stop playing the game while you're ahead. But if you choose not to, and you choose to keep playing the game, you drive home where you're greeted by your 3 broke Zoomer roommates and you complain about student loans for a few minutes till one of the characters asks if you'll be able to afford the rent. If you're wondering at this point where the fun part was or where the action was, I was thinking the same thing. You then go to the bank, a few blocks down the road, wearing masks and get to do a pretty cool heist mission. Not really, your characters walk in without masks and rob the bank entirely in cutscene. There's no gameplay for the robbery, you just watch it. At this point, Saints Row fans are probably feeling slighted as Saints Row 3 opened with a fun heist mission where the hostages were asking for the Saints' autographs. But in 2022, we're playing as hipsters who lack anything interesting in terms of personality, so they make up for it with quirky one-liners, angsty attitudes, and bow ties. The game essentially continues down this route with objectively bad gameplay and at times awful storytelling. The game did have one moment where I was actually excited to play it, and that was when the credits rolled and the game was over. The game did have one moment where I was actually excited to play it, and that was when we were planning a way to build the Saints as a gang. It felt like there was a purpose, or that there would be a purpose to the missions to come. But while the result of each mission did further build upon the gang, each mission itself only consisted of boring copy and pasted shootouts. There really weren't any dynamic qualities to the gameplay, it was just a repetitive chore. At the end of the day, I think this game may be more fun in co-op, though I couldn't convince any of my friends to buy and play this with me, likely because they have better sense than I do, but it's probably worth buying if just to have a game to play with a friend. It's not a bad game, it's just not a very good game. It's overall janky, clunky, and goofy. It doesn't have the charm that the original Saints Row had. They did a disservice to the open world vehicle genre as well by barely using the vehicles. Driving to mission locations does not count as utilizing what should be a core gameplay mechanic, and the driving wasn't even satisfying. The most memorable times cars were used in the main story was when my idiot character was glued to the roof shooting infinite rockets at endless enemies. The game very much feels on the rails in the worst way. If you want to pretend to be a AAA title, you've got to bring more to the table than good graphics, C-level writing, and LED helmets. I know it's trendy to hate on this game right now. I know it's a popular opinion to have, and I don't want to come off like I'm just perpetuating what everyone else is saying so as to fit in. I do like the graphics, the driving is fun at times, shooting can be fun the first 50 times you do it, but like anything, repetition gets stale. Overall, I'd pay a hefty $10 for this game. Wait for a sale, or borrow it from somebody. It won't take much convincing. Saints Woke was Volition's one shot at redemption. Unfortunately, they may not be able to pay the rent with this one. Grand RP is an awesome RP server for GTA 5 PC players. Not only does this server look great, but it also plays great too. With over 350 DLC cars, loads of missions, and a community that's actually fun to play with unlike any GTA Online lobby ever. There are always more than 25 active admins online as well, looking out for you. You can become a police officer and enforce the law, or just get a typical job because there's a huge variety of choices. If that doesn't interest you, become a criminal and try to steal someone's car and sell it, but you might end up in jail. Join or create a family with your friends to gain access to special missions like robbing a bank, infiltrating an aircraft carrier, and more. The server is regularly updated, constantly introducing gameplay improvements. The server can be accessed through 5M or by using the link in the description and registering through their site. Join Grand Roleplay today through the link in the description below and get in-game bonuses.